Chelsea just paid £5 million for a player to leave. Not to stay, not to sign, but to wave goodbye politely and leave a thank you note. Welcome to Stamford Bridge, where we reward breakups with cash and a warm handshake. Jadon Sancho is officially leaving Chelsea after one memorable season. Memorable mostly for making people Google whether he was actually playing. So what happened? Why didn't Chelsea keep him? Was it the salary, the form, or did Todd Boehly just forget they had him on loan? Let's dig in. 1. The loan deal. A £25 million love letter with a £5 million breakup fee. Let's rewind. Sancho joined Chelsea from Manchester United last summer with a deal that screamed commitment issues. It was a loan with an obligation to buy if all parties agreed. Which of course they didn't, because Sancho asked for more personal terms than a LinkedIn premium subscription, and Chelsea said, "We'd rather pay £5 million than never have this conversation again." Imagine dating someone for a year, and then paying them $5,000 just so you don't have to meet their parents. This is the first time in history someone's been fined for not buying a footballer. Chelsea basically said, "We like you, Jadon, just not £25 million and weekly wages that can buy a yacht like you." This whole deal feels like Chelsea went window shopping, took Sancho home for a trial, then ghosted the salesperson when it came time to pay. At this rate, Chelsea will owe more in breakup fees than they've paid in transfer fees. And that's saying something. And let's be honest, Chelsea committing to Sancho long-term was about as likely as Boehly sticking to one manager for an entire season. The club treats squad building like speed dating. Swipe right for potential, swipe left when the wage demands start sounding like Premier League ransom notes. Sancho didn't get dumped, he just got priced out of the fantasy. 2. Sancho's Chelsea career. A tale of two highlights. Sancho played 42 games, scored 5 goals, assisted 10 times, and somehow managed to be both influential and invisible, like a ghost with great crossing accuracy. He started with flair, ended with a goal, and in between. Mostly vibes. If you blinked during October, November, or well, most of February, you probably missed him entirely. Sancho at Chelsea is the football equivalent of those Netflix shows you kinda liked but forgot existed until they got cancelled. He scored against Tottenham and Ipswich Town, which is like saying you punched a shark and a goldfish. Impressive but inconsistent. Sancho's season was basically the football version of a sandwich with great bread and nothing in the middle. At least he got a medal, which is more than some Chelsea players get after 2 seasons and 3 managers. Honestly, we've seen more of Enzo Maresca's PowerPoint slides than Sancho during Chelsea's mid-season run. And let's not forget, Sancho still had more highlights than Mikhailo Mudryk, and that's with half the hype and none of the track speed. In fact, most Chelsea fans spent more time trying to pronounce Nkunku properly than debating Sancho's form. When your biggest competition for wing minutes is the club's injury list, playing decent for a couple of weeks suddenly makes you Eden Hazard reincarnated. 3. Maresca's praise. Public compliments. Private no thanks. Coach Enzo Maresca praised Sancho's contribution post-Conference League win. He basically said, "If we finished 4th, it's because of Sancho." Which is a lovely way of saying thanks for your service, we'll take it from here. Enzo sounded like a guy giving a farewell speech for an intern, full of kind words, zero intention of offering a full-time job. Maresca said, "It's because of Sancho." Somewhere, Robert Sanchez and the rest of the team are blinking rapidly in disbelief. This is like thanking one actor for an entire ensemble performance. Avengers Endgame? Yeah, that was all Paul Rudd. Chelsea's strategy: build up the player in interviews, then delete the contract in silence. Enzo's words were sweet, but you just know the follow-up meeting went. Anyway, who's available in the Bundesliga? If praising and releasing were an Olympic sport, Chelsea would be gold medalists. And let's be honest, Maresca's speech had the same energy as someone hyping up a departing colleague during Friday drinks. "We'll miss your energy. Who's replacing him Monday?" It's classic corporate football: clap them out the door, change the locker code, and pretend it was all part of the long-term plan. 4. Sancho's statement. Gratitude, peace, and subtext. Jadon released a touching farewell statement. "Big love. Grateful for the experience. Wish the club all the best." You know, the usual breakup template you copy from Pinterest. It's the same message you send after a job rejection or ending a situationship that never went past brunch. Sancho's message was so diplomatic, he could run for office tomorrow. He didn't say, "Chelsea didn't pay me what I wanted," but you could almost hear him whispering it between the lines. It's giving "thank you for not ghosting me completely. I appreciate that." Somewhere in Manchester, United's board just updated his WhatsApp status to "you up." If football transfers had Yelp reviews, Sancho just gave Chelsea a classy 4 stars with a "would visit again" if they paid more. Let's not forget, this is the same club where players usually leave with an Instagram unfollow, a cryptic Drake lyric, and a subtle jab at the physio. By comparison, Sancho's statement was practically a TED Talk in emotional maturity. No shade, no pettiness, just a soft exit with vibes and punctuation. 5. The £85 million elephant in the room. United still owns him. Let's not forget, Sancho is still technically a Manchester United player. The club that paid £85 million for him in 2021 now has to figure out what to do with their £85 million lost boy. United now faces the same issue as someone trying to sell a used Ferrari with a dented bumper and no service history. United's board looking at Sancho right now like anyone? Slightly used winger, barely played, runs well on Thursdays. This is what happens when you pay £85 million for a highlight reel and end up with extended footage of warm-ups. Somewhere in Dortmund they're sipping tea and whispering, "We told you so." Sancho's next club will either be a bold revival or an elaborate vacation to Turkey. And here's the real kicker. United doesn't even know if they want him back. It's like buying an expensive gadget, tossing it in a drawer for 3 years, and now pretending it's a family heirloom. Do they loan him again? Sell him? Or keep him in Old Trafford's version of football purgatory, the Carrington training ground? 6. So, how will Chelsea remember Sancho? With respect, mildly. He's that ex who showed up for the party, danced a bit, took some great pictures, and quietly left before cleanup. Chelsea fans liked him, but £25 million liked him. That's a different question. Sancho will go down in Chelsea history as the man who made the Conference League slightly more watchable. He's a trivia answer in 5 years. Which winger scored in the 2025 Conference League final but wasn't bought permanently? Ultimately, he gave Chelsea just enough highlights to remember, and just enough absences to move on guilt-free. He won a medal, said thank you, and left. Honestly, that's better than 90% of Chelsea's last 5 signings. The legacy: calm, no hard feelings, no banners, just vibes. And in a club that's had more wingers than a fried chicken menu, Sancho's chapter was short, decent, and drama-free, which in Chelsea terms is practically sainthood. No training ground bust-ups, no mysterious injuries, no disappearing acts to Dubai. He clocked in, clocked out, and left with dignity. A true rarity in the Stamford Bridge multiverse. Closing thoughts. Transfer window shenanigans continue. So Chelsea pays £5 million to avoid spending £25 million. Modern football economics. Everybody. Will Sancho land back at United, jet off to Spain, or start an elite-level podcast called Lowen and Confused? Drop your guesses in the comments. Smash that like button for more hilarious transfer sagas. And remember, if Chelsea starts paying you to leave, you might actually be doing something right. See you next time.